Back in 2012, Microsoft placed one of the biggest bets in its entire history. I mean, this wasn't just a new operating system, it was a total reinvention of the most popular piece of software on the planet. This is the story of Windows 8.
Yeah, before it even came out, the criticism was absolutely brutal. When the head of Valve, one of the most powerful companies in PC gaming, calls your new OS a catastrophe, you know you're in for a seriously rough ride. This wasn't just some bad review, it was a warning shot from one of your most important partners.
So what on earth happened? How did this operating system, this thing that was designed to secure Microsoft's future, end up pushing away so many of its most loyal users? Well, to really understand the failure, first you have to understand the fear that created it.
Right. The fear that drove this massive gamble had a name: the tablet. See, by the early 2010s, the entire world of computing was changing, and it was changing at this absolutely dizzying speed.
Okay, let's just think back for a second. It's 2009. Microsoft is riding high. They've got Windows 7, which was a huge success that finally washed away the bad taste of Windows Vista. But then, 2010 happens, and the iPad lands. Now, it wasn't a PC, but it did a lot of the things a casual user wanted a PC for. And then a year later, Android tablets are just everywhere. All of a sudden, the keyboard and mouse, the very foundations of the PC, started to feel a little, dated. The future, it seemed, was all about touch.
And this, right here, is a critical moment. For the first time in decades, Microsoft's dominance was genuinely, truly threatened. The PC wasn't going away, not by a long shot, but this huge new market was exploding where Windows had absolutely zero presence. They had to do something, and they had to do something bold.
And boy, was it bold. Microsoft didn't just want to compete with the iPad, their plan was to create one single experience that could rule both tablets and the traditional desktop.
So they started using their own marketing language. This was their vision, not just functional, but vibrant and beautiful. They were trying to inject the life and the energy of mobile interfaces right into the heart of Windows. And the centerpiece of this whole vision was a radical new design language.
It was called Metro. It was born from their Windows Phone operating system, and it was clean, it was focused on typography, and it was built from the ground up for touch. So instead of static icons, you had these live tiles that could show you notifications, photos, the weather, all at a glance. It was designed to feel fluid and fast, especially on a tablet.
This whole idea led to what they called the no-compromise strategy. The grand plan was one single operating system to rule them all. It would have a secure app store, just like Apple's. It'd be seamlessly integrated with the cloud, and most importantly, it would deliver that fluid, touch-first experience on any device, from a tiny little tablet to a giant desktop computer.
The CEO at the time, Steve Ballmer, his goal was absolute unity. No separate OS for tablets and another for PCs. Just one Windows, everywhere. And, it was a powerful vision, but that no-compromise idea would pretty soon become the source of a massive compromise for millions of its users.
And this is really where the dream collided with reality. Because in trying to build one OS for two very, very different worlds, Microsoft ended up creating a deeply fractured, almost schizophrenic experience.
Okay, so here's the core conflict. On one side, you've got the new touch-first start screen with its vibrant full-screen apps and live tiles. On the other side, you have the classic desktop, which was now basically demoted to being just another app that you had to launch from the start screen. Switching between them was jarring. I mean, they looked different, they behaved differently, they were just built for completely different ways of working.
But the biggest shock? The thing that really made people's heads spin? To force users into this new start screen, Microsoft removed the single most familiar piece of the Windows interface, the Start button. We're talking about hundreds of millions of people who had spent nearly 2 decades building up muscle memory. It was like someone had ripped the steering wheel right out of their car. It just caused instant confusion and so much frustration.
This quote from back then really just sums it all up perfectly. It didn't feel elegant or unified. It felt like two completely separate products that were just forced into one box, and neither one of them was very happy about it. So the vision was ambitious, the execution was, let's just say, divisive. How did the world actually react when Windows 8 was finally released?
Well, at first the numbers looked pretty good. Microsoft proudly announced 40 million licenses sold in the first month. That was actually faster than Windows 7. But that figure included sales to PC manufacturers, not just to people buying it in a store. And it was hiding a much more troubling trend. Because look at this, during the critical holiday shopping season of 2012, US PC sales didn't just slow down, they plummeted by 21% compared to the year before. A new version of Windows is supposed to boost PC sales, not kill them, and a lot of analysts pointed the finger directly at consumer confusion and just a flat-out reluctance to adopt Windows 8.
And the reviews pretty much echoed what users were feeling. Words like confusing, steep learning curve, clumsy, they were everywhere. The very interface that was designed to be modern and intuitive was seen as the exact opposite. And to make things even worse, the new Windows Store, a key part of the whole strategy, just didn't have the must-have apps that were driving the ecosystems on iOS and Android.
The feedback was absolutely overwhelming. And you have to give Microsoft credit here, they listened. A year later, they released a major update that was less of a simple patch and more of a direct apology to their users.
Windows 8.1 was basically a systematic response to every single major complaint. They brought back the Start button. Yep, they gave users the option to completely bypass the Start screen and boot straight to the familiar desktop. They improved multitasking, they even added tutorials. It was a huge retreat from that no-compromise vision, and a really clear admission that they had pushed their users way too far, way too fast.
So Windows 8 is often remembered as one of Microsoft's biggest blunders, right? It's up there with Windows Vista. But was it really that simple? I mean, it forced Microsoft to finally confront the world of touch and mobile. A lot of the improvements under the hood in performance and security, they were real, and they paved the way for Windows 10, which did a much better job blending the old and the new. So it makes you wonder, maybe Windows 8 had to fail so that Windows itself could ultimately succeed.